Welcome back. Nearly 60% of all college students have bet on sports games, according to a 2023 study by the NCAA.
Buddeke joins us this morning to talk about how sports betting is affecting the lives of many young men. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Experts believe that number is likely even higher now, actually. With that said, why do you think so many young men in particular have a problem with this?
Well, I think culturally, men are just more interested in sports. Their family, maybe their dad, so, engaging with their family and friends. But then also just the availability of it now. It's legal in more states. I think 38 states now it's legal. And then obviously the accessibility of it being on your phone.
And this habit seems to be affecting more men than women. Why do you think that is?
Well, again, I think men just, culturally like sports more. They're more interested. But also, too, there's a camaraderie with it now, with like fantasy football, things like that. So it's culturally, I think, really embedded more with men than women.
There's some chemicals working here, too, right? Gambling can affect the brain. Talk about that a little bit.
So dopamine is the main neurotransmitter at work here. That's our reward system, pleasure, motivation. And so risk taking is also associated with that too, because if you know you're going to win, it's kind of dull. It's not very fun. But knowing that there's a risk involved, so not knowing the outcome is really where we see that dopamine release.
And some people see gambling addiction as a lack of self-control. Is that accurate?
That's one piece of it. So if you look at younger men, like we're talking 21 to 25, brain's still developing. So that's where impulse control isn't really at its best, right? So that's just one piece of it. But again, the availability, the addiction to the phone, so many different things, the marketing, all of it.
What do you do if you see a family member struggling with this?
Well, I think the first thing, don't shame them, right? Figure out where they're at with their problem, and then that way you can better problem solve how to fix the problem, right? And then obviously, if they're open to getting help, that's the best thing to do.
And athletes are also being harassed in the process when they lose or cost a losing bet. What advice do you have to give people to help maybe not take their losses out on those athletes?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think really it's, just kind of figuring out that's misplaced anger, right? So trying to find, a better outlet for that. Obviously the players, you don't want them to fix the games, right? So just figuring out that's misplaced anger, so finding somebody else to talk to.
If you're talking about drug or alcohol addiction, a lot of times, a lot of physicians will say, no, you got to stop altogether. This is it. Can you still gamble online some and not be addicted to it?
It really depends on the severity of the person's addiction, but I'm going to go with a no. I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good information. Bryce?